This week we are exploring Unidad 3, Lección 2, which takes place here in Puerto Rico, which is pretty exciting. Our learning objectives this week are that you will be able to identify vocabulary related to family, numbers, and these numbers will go all the way through 1 million this time. We already learned through 100, so we'll go from 101 up to 1 million, which sounds a little daunting, but it's not as scary as you would think. So family members, numbers through 1 million, and calendar dates. Involved in that, you will be creating sentences telling me the date in Spanish, identifying months of the year in Spanish, and we'll also be using those numbers just as a throwback to bring those back to discuss how old someone in a certain family is. So you'll be able to say, my dad is 40 years old or whatever. And you're also going to be using possessive adjectives and comparisons to create sentences as well. So that's kind of where we're going. We will take it in small little chunks here so that it's not overwhelming. As we begin, I want you to take a look here at this photo. You can see Rodrigo is the person talking. You can see him over here on the left. He says, Hola, soy Rodrigo. Vivo en Puerto Rico con mis padres. Ellos tienen dos hijos. Yo soy su hijo. Y mi hermana Ana es su hija. Te presento a las otras personas en nuestra familia. So, just a little recap here. I'm Rodrigo. Vivo. I live in Puerto Rico con mis padres. I live in Puerto Rico with my parents, mis padres. Ellos tienen dos hijos. They have two children, dos hijos. Yo soy su hijo. I am their son. Notice son ends in an O because it's masculine. Yo soy su hijo. Y mi hermana, my sister, mi hermana Ana, es su hija, their daughter, with an A there, hija. So hijos, children. Hijo, son. Hija, daughter. So, hello, I'm Rodrigo. I live in Puerto Rico with my parents. They have two children. I am their son, and my sister Ana is their daughter. Te presento a las otras personas en nuestra familia. Let me introduce you to the other people in our family. So as you look here, you're going to see a family tree. We're going to be talking about this family tree as we go along. Lots of different words you see here at the top. Well, first of all, Rodrigo is over here on the left, and you can see he and Ana, el hermano and la hermana, the brother and the sister. El hermano, la hermana. Together they are hermanos, siblings. And they are the children, los hijos de la madre y el padre, Celia y José. You see Celia here. Celia is la madre, the mother. José is el padre, the father. And so together they are los padres, the parents. Looks like they have some mascotas in their familia. They have some pets. El perro here, the dog, is Capitán el perro. We have Príncipe el gato, the cat. Over here on the right, you see los tíos. So from Rodrigo's perspective, these are his aunts and uncles, los tíos. You have Camila, who is la tía, the aunt, and you have Pablo, who is el tío, the uncle. Down below, we have los primos, the cousins, los primos. So the children of your aunts and uncles, your cousins, los primos. And you have Tito, who is el primo, the male cousin, and Esther, who is la prima, the female cousin. So you can see them there. As you look up here at the top as well, you see los abuelos, the grandparents. Maria is la abuela, and Cristobal is el abuelo. So as we continue our reading here, in part letter B here, we're asked, ¿Cuántos años tienes tú? How many years do you have? How old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes tú? Rodrigo responds and he says, well, yo tengo 15 años. I'm 15. Literally, I have 15 years. We don't say yo soy 15. We're saying I have that number of years. So how many years do you have? Oh, I have 15 years. Ana, who is mi hermana menor, we said earlier an hermana was a sister. Menor means younger. So Ana, mi hermana menor, my younger sister, tiene 9 años. She's only 9 years old. She has 9 years. And we've specified that yo soy su hermano mayor. I'm her older brother. So these two words, menor and mayor, I want to give you a little trick for remembering these. Menor kind of looks like minor. A minor, someone who's under the age of 18, they're young. Menor means younger. Mayor looks like the word mayor in English. And I don't know about you, but in my town, the mayor is always some old dude. So, yo soy su hermano mayor, her older brother. We've already talked about our family tree here. As in letter C, you can see he's holding up a calendar in line with our other learning objectives for this chapter, identifying the dates in Spanish. So in letter C, you see someone asking, ¿Cuál es la fecha? What is the date? ¿Cuál es la fecha? And he specifies that hoy es el primero de abril. You can probably guess abril here is April. And he said it's el primero de abril. If you look and you see the one is circled here, today is the first, el primero de abril. And he tells us that es mi cumpleaños. It's my birthday. Es mi cumpleaños. And he asks, well, ¿cuándo es tu cumpleaños? When is your birthday? ¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños? You can see here his little birthday cake. Feliz cumpleaños. Happy birthday. Let's look at your months over here. Los meses are the months, los meses. And within all of these, you see enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, noviembre, and diciembre. And you've, of course, been studying all of these on your Quizlets. So you know these, you feel good about these, but you can see all these here, los meses, the months. The last thing I want to talk to you about in this chapter are your numbers, going all the way from 200 all the way up to 1 million. So as you look here, you already know 100, 100. We're going to learn our hundreds going up to 1 million. So 200, 300, 400, so on and so forth. So let's get started. 100, 100. 200 is dos cientos. So notice that word 100 is still in there. We've just put dos in front of it for 2. And we made cien plural by adding dos. So 200, 200. 300, 300. 400, 400. 600, 600. 800, 800. So those aren't too weird, right? You're just taking cien, making it cientos, and putting the number 2, 3, 6, 8, etc. in front. So 200, 300, 400, 600, 800. Not terrible there. Some of these are a little weird. 500 becomes, instead of 500, it becomes 500. 500 for 500. 700, instead of becoming 700, becomes 700. Notice there's no I there. 700. 900, instead of 900, becomes 900. So, not terrible. Those three irregulars, 5, 7, and 9. 500, 700, 900. And then, of course, you have 1,000, which is mil in Spanish, M-I-L, mil. And a million in Spanish is un millón. Un millón, a million, un millón. So we're going to be coming back to these. Don't worry, you'll see lots more practice with these. Before we move on, I want you to say these things with me really quickly. So repitan. 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000, un millón. Let's also say these family members together so you know them. Repitan. Los abuelos, la madre, el abuelo, los padres, el padre, la madre, los tíos, la tía, el tío, los hermanos, el hermano, la hermana, el perro, el gato, los primos, el primo, la prima. Excelente. So, as we get started here, remember our learning objective. You should be identifying vocabulary related to family, numbers through 1 million, and calendar dates. The goal here is that you're creating sentences expressing familial relations in Spanish. So as you look here, you see all of these people. La familia de Rodrigo. Rodrigo's familia, and you can see him here. You're going to have to look at the picture and look at these people's faces. Going back over here to your family tree and deciding who they are. So, as we look here at the first guy, we see this dude in the orange shirt, sort of an old man. If we go back over here and take a look, we can see his face is here. He's still wearing the orange shirt. We can see his face is the same. He was el padre. So we're looking at all these people from the relationship of Rodrigo. So Jose, in this case, would be Rodrigo's dad. So that's what we're writing in our answer. Jose es el padre. He's the father. Jose es el padre. As you look at more of these, for example, in number 1, we see this woman. We can see her face. If we go back and look at the family tree, we find her up here. She is the grandma, la abuela. Her name is Maria. So we're going to say exactly that. As we write our answer, we're going to say Maria es, and the grandma, la abuela. Maria es la abuela. I want you to take a moment by looking at the picture here, and I want you to figure out who these other people are in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This may require a little bit of rewinding on your part, okay? But I want you to pause for a moment and give these a try. Okay, now that you've had a second to take a look at these, let's look together. Number 2, we see this young guy. If we go back and look at our photo, we can find him. He is down here. His name is Tito, and he was el primo. He was the cousin of Rodrigo. So we're going to write a sentence that says Tito is the cousin. So we would say that Tito es el primo, the cousin. As we look at number 3, we see this woman here. If we go back and look at our picture, we can find her. Here she is. Her name is Camila, and she's la tía. She is the aunt of Rodrigo. So in our sentence, we would say Camila es la tía, the aunt. In number 4, we see this old man. Go back and find him in the picture here. He's up here at the top. His name is Cristobal, Christopher, Cristobal. It says he's el abuelo, the grandfather. So in relation to Rodrigo, we're going to say Cristobal is the grandpa. So our sentence, Cristobal es el abuelo. Hopefully you're getting the hang of these. I know flipping back and forth can be hard. This is just to give you some practice with identifying those family members. Okay, we'll do some more practice in just a moment. I do want to take a note of something here for you. Notice when we were talking about Rodrigo's dad or Rodrigo's grandpa, we didn't say Rodrigo apostrophe S abuelo or Rodrigo apostrophe S padre. We didn't do that. We said the father of Rodrigo, the grandpa of Rodrigo. That's because in Espanol, there is no apostrophe S. It does not exist. So if you want to say Maria's cat, you have to say the cat of Maria. El gato, or sorry, Marissa's cat, the cat of Marissa. El gato de Marisa. El gato de, the cat of. Same thing here, Juan's cousins. There is no apostrophe S in Spanish. So Juan's cousins would be the cousins of Juan. Los primos de Juan. Make sure you are aware of that for your writing assignments and such. Okay, as you take a look here, remember our objective, we are still identifying family members, numbers through a million, and calendar dates. And here we're also creating sentences expressing familial relations in Spanish. So as you look here, this time we're talking about a different family. Instead of la familia de Rodrigo, the family of Rodrigo, we're talking about la familia de Marisol. It tells you here that you should combina las frases para describir las relaciones entre las personas de la familia de Marisol. Basically, you're just matching these up. So, in number 1, el padre de mi madre es... So let's translate this together. El padre, the father, de mi madre, of my mother, es blank. Well, the father of my mother, so mom's dad, would be my grandfather. So we should pick the word for grandfather here. We're going to select D, mi abuelo, my grandfather. Look at number 2. Las hermanas de mi padre son blank. So las hermanas, the sisters, de mi padre, of my dad, are blank. So my dad's sisters, in this case, are my aunts. So we should find the word for aunts, letter C. Mis tías, my aunts. Okay, I want you to take a moment here, and I want you to try numbers 3 through 6 on your own. Just pause your audio, give these a try, and when you're ready, you can unmute yourself. Okay, so now that you've had a second to try these, let's get started with number 3. It told us, la hija de mi padre, the daughter of my dad, it's blank. So my dad's daughter would have to be my sister, mi hermana, mi hermana. Number 4, los hijos de mis padres son blank. The children of my parents are, well, they would be my siblings. The children of my parents son mis hermanos, mis hermanos. Number 5, las hijas de mi tía son blank. Las hijas, the daughters de mi tía, of my aunt, are my blank. Well, my aunt's daughters would be my cousins, my female cousins, keep in mind. So they're mis primas, mis primas. And lastly, number 6, la hermana de mi tía es blank. The sister of my aunt, in this case, my aunt's sister would be my mom, or technically another aunt, but that wasn't an option. So my mother, mi madre, mi madre. Okay, one last thing I want to do here as we check into our family members. This is going to involve using that family tree again, but just for the sake of time, to keep you from having to go back and forth again with that visual, which I know is not ideal in this online environment, we are going to just use the age that is provided here and say how old someone is. So for example, this was Jose, this was Rodrigo's dad, Jose, but you don't have to know that. All you have to know is that he's 47. So we're going to write a sentence that says he's 47. Remember from earlier, we don't say es 47, he is 47 like we do in English. It doesn't work like that. In Spanish, we say that he has 47 years. So in this case, we're going to say he has, tiene, 47, 47 años, years. Tiene 47 años. So, as you look at these others, you see number 1, I believe this was his sister Anna. Again, doesn't matter who it is, but we know that she's 9 years old. So we're going to write a sentence that says she has 9 years. So she has, we're starting with the word tiene, 9, nueve, and years, años. Tiene 9 años. She's 9 years. Tiene 9 años. I want you to try numbers 2 through 8 here to see how you do with the ages. 2 through 8. Go ahead, give these a try. When you're ready, you can unpause your audio. All right, let's take a look here. Number 2, it says this guy is 10 years old. So we're going to say, tiene, he has, 10 años. He has 10 years. And number 3, the guy was 66. We're going to say, tiene 66 años. Number 4, Esther was 14. So we're going to say, tiene 14 años. And number 5, Camila, she was 38. So we're going to say, tiene 38 años. Number 6, Celia was 45. So we're going to say that tiene 45 años. And number 7, Pablo, we're going to say that Pablo tiene 39 años. And number 8, Maria. Maria is 64. We're going to say that Maria tiene 64 años. Okay, hopefully you're starting to feel a little better about your vocabulary for this chapter. Next, we're going to take some time to talk about possessive adjectives in Spanish. And possessive adjectives are, we use these a lot in English, basically. My, your, his or her, our, their, your alls, so on and so forth. So as we take a look here in Spanish, you see there are multiple possessive adjectives. You have, and they do have to agree in number, but not necessarily in gender with the nouns that they modify. So for example, you have mi and mis. So mi padre, my dad, mis padres, my parents. Tu, your, or tus. So tu madre, your mom, or tus madres, your mothers. Su and sus, his or hers. Nuestro, nuestros. Remember, these can also agree in gender as well. So nuestra, nuestras. Vuestro, vuestros. Vuestra, vuestras. And su and sus. So es mi tía. That's my aunt. She's my aunt. Son mis tías. Those are my aunts, plural. So nuestro and vuestro are the tricky ones because they do agree in gender and in number, unlike like me and tú. You don't really have to change those according to the gender. You just have to change those according to whether they're singular or plural. Nuestro and vuestro, you do have to change with gender because they have an O and an A accordingly. So, nuestra abuela, our grandmother, tiene 70 años, she's 70. Nuestros abuelos viven en San Francisco. Our grandparents, they live in San Francisco. So, I want to give you a few of these to try. They're not terribly difficult. It's just a matter of going through and figuring out the most appropriate one. So, for example, in number one, nosotros tenemos tres primas. We have three cousins. So we have three cousins. Our cousins are tall. So we need to choose either nuestros or nuestras. We knew it was going to be one of those because we found that our over here was nuestro or nuestra. So in this case, we have three cousins. Our cousins are tall. We should choose nuestras primas since we have female cousins, primas, nuestras. Number two says that ustedes tienen un abuelo. You all have a grandfather. You're trying to say that your all's grandfather, his birthday is April the 2nd. And your options are su or nuestro. We obviously should choose su here. We don't need to make it sus in this case, just su, since cumpleaños is a singular noun, even though it has an S. I'd like for you to take a moment and try numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6. Whenever you're ready, you can unmute, or unpause, I should say, and we'll take a look at the correct answers. All right, now that you've had a second to look at these, number 3 says, Mi familia y yo tenemos una gata vieja. My family and I, we have an old cat, una gata vieja. So you're trying to say blank cat is Ruby. So our family has a cat. Our cat's name is Ruby. We're going to choose nuestra here. And notice nuestra ended in an A because it had to agree with gata, a feminine cat, female cat. Number 4, yo tengo dos hermanos mayores. I have two older siblings, two older brothers. Blank hermanos son estudiosos. My brothers are studious. Well, in this case, we have multiple brothers, so we can't say mi hermanos because hermanos is a plural noun. We also have to make mi plural by adding an S, so it should be mis hermanos son estudiosos. Number 5, mis abuelos tienen un perro. My grandparents have a dog. Either my dog is lazy or their dog is lazy. We just said my parents have a dog, so it's their dog that's lazy. Su perro es perezoso. And finally, number 6, feliz cumpleaños, happy birthday. Hoy tienes 15 años. Today, you have 15 years. We're trying to say that it is your birthday, so es tu cumpleaños, tú. Okay, so just in line with our learning objective to express possession using possessive adjectives in Spanish, I want to give you a little bit more practice here in creating these sentences. Okay, so for example, in number 1, it tells us, los abuelos de nosotros no son muy serios. The grandparents of us are not very serious. Our grandparents are not very serious, we might say. And then in parentheses, it has escuchar música rock. So you're trying to write a final sentence that says, our grandparents listen to rock music. So this part in parentheses over here is going to become your sentence, and you just have to decide who the possession is from the first sentence. So our grandparents are not very serious. They listen to rock music. So we just need to take the grandparents of us and make our grandparents. So if we start with abuelos, grandparents, and we're picking a possessive adjective to say our options here are nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras. In this case, abuelos ends in OS. So we should say nuestros abuelos. And then we need to take this verb escuchar música rock and chop off the AR in escuchar. So instead of saying to listen to rock music, in order to say that they listen, we could chop off this AR in escuchar and add back an AN. Nuestros abuelos escuchan música rock. They listen to rock music. Okay, let's do one more together. Number 2 tells us that los tíos de ustedes son trabajadores. Your all's uncles are hardworking. And then in parentheses, you have trabajar mucho, to work a lot. So your all's uncles are hardworking. We should say your uncles work a lot. So again, we're going to take tíos to say your alls in this case. Go with ustedes. We're using our bottom right box. So our options are either su or sus. In line with tíos, which is plural, we should use sus. So sus tíos. If we take trabajar mucho, to work a lot, we chop off our AR in trabajar. We knew that ustedes was our bottom right box for an AR verb. We're going to say that sus tíos trabajan mucho. I want you to take a moment, pause your audio, and please give numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6 a try for me. Whenever you're ready, you can unmute. Okay, so let's take a moment here. Number 3 says, La prima de Marisol no es perezosa. And then in parentheses it has hacer la tarea. So the cousin of Marisol is not lazy. And then to do homework. So we're trying to say her cousin does her homework. So her cousin, in this case with prima, female cousin, to say her, our options were su or sus. In this case, we're going to use su because there's only one cousin. So su prima. And then hacer la tarea, we're going to chop off our er and hacer. The she box was down here to say that she does her homework, ella. We're going to add an e here. Hace la tarea. Number 4, la madre de Rodrigo es atlética. And then practicar deportes. The mom of Rodrigo is athletic and to practice sports. So we want to say that his mom practices sports. So his, our options were su or sus. There's only one madre here, so we should choose su madre. For practicar deportes, we're going to chop off our AR and practicar. We should add back an A. Su madre practica deportes. Number 5, la hermana de nosotros es muy estudiosa en leer muchos libros. So our sister is very studious, and then to read a lot of books. So our sister, we have only one sister here, hermana. We know that the word hermana is feminine singular. So as we look at the nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, or nuestras as our options, we know we're going to choose nuestra here to go with hermana. So nuestra hermana, and then to read a lot of books, to say that she reads. Again, she is our bottom left box, ella. We're going to chop off our er and leer, and we should be adding an e. Nuestra hermana lee muchos libros. And number 6, el padrastro de Luz es simpático. Pasar un rato con la familia. So Luz, her stepfather is very nice, and he hangs out with the fam. So her stepfather is very nice. So her, our options are su or sus. She has only one stepfather. We should choose su padrastro. And then to hang out with the fam, we're going to take pasar, chop off our AR. To say that he hangs out with, we're using our bottom left box. We should be adding an A here. Su padrastro pasa un rato con la familia. Okay, so all this time we've been working here with our learning objective to express possession using possessive adjectives in Spanish. So basically you're learning how to write out in words, today is the 10th of October, today is the 1st of December, whatever the day might be. And we're going to learn how to write these out. So this requires you to think back to your numbers that you learned previously earlier in this course. So you see here, there's a little formula. We're going to use el for the, a number depending on the day it is. So it's the first, it's the second, it's the 15th of de, and whatever month. And you have those months from earlier, enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, etc. So in this case, to say it's the 10th of December, we have es el 10 de diciembre. It's the 10th of December. We used 10 for 10 for our number and diciembre for our month. So el 10 de diciembre, the 10th of December. First is the only one that doesn't follow this rule. The word first in Spanish is primero. So instead of saying es el 1 de diciembre, we say es el primero de diciembre. That's not too bad. As you're looking at the year, though, this is where things get a little complicated. To say 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, we don't say 14 and then 92. We don't say 1492. It doesn't work like that. In Spanish, the year would be 1492. So you start with the thousands, you go to the hundreds, the tenths, and then so on and so forth. So 1492. So if you look here, 1000, 1,000, 400, 400, 92, 92. Kind of weird. Let's practice some dates. Also, the dates are written backwards in Spanish. So if you see this, like down here, this is not December 3rd. This is March the 12th of March. Because remember, we always do el, number, day, whatever month. So here, this is the 22nd of June, 1994. So we said el 22, the 22nd, of, de, June, junio, de, of again, and then 1994. So 1994. A little tricky, huh? Let's do one more together. If you look at our second one here, this is the 17th of May of 1986. So we have el 17, the 17th, de, of, mayo, May, de, of again, 1986, 1986. And then 3 and 4. In this case, it is the 5th of October, 1966, and the 12th of March, 1969. I'd like for you to give these last two a try for me, please, really quickly. When you're ready, you can unpause. All right, let's see how you did. So in number 3, the 5th of October, you should have el 5 de octubre, and then of 1966, de 1966. And number 4, the 12th of March, 1969, you should have el 12 de marzo de 1969. Hopefully those are not too terribly bad for you there. All right, and finally, the last thing that I want to talk to you about today are comparisons in Spanish. So when you think about comparisons, when you compare yourself to someone else, you might say, oh, she's better than me, or she's prettier, or she's nicer, or whatever it might be. Comparisons in Spanish work the same way. These end in usually in Spanish. So taller, nicer, skinnier, prettier, so on and so forth. But in Spanish, there's no way to say So rather than saying taller, we say more tall than, or less tall than, or as tall as. There's no such thing as So in this case, for example, using the word artistic, if you want to say someone is more artistic than you, we say more, más, artístico or artística, depending on who you're talking about, que. So, mi abuela es más artística que mi padre. My grandmother is more artistic than my father. Más artística que. In this case, artística, your adjective, agrees with the grandmother. Mi abuela, not with the padre. So whoever's at the beginning of your sentence, your adjective's going to agree with that. So mi abuela es más artística que mi padre. Up here, Rodrigo es más alto que su hermano. Literally, Rodrigo is more tall than your sister. Again, there's no So Rodrigo is more tall than. That's a little weird for us, being speakers of English, right? Down here, so más que was more than, and there's usually an adjective in the middle, más blank que. Down here, menos blank que, less blank than, with an adjective in the middle. For example, la clase de ciencias es menos divertida que la clase de inglés, less fun than the class of English. In this case, divertida agreed with la clase. And our last one, tan blank como, as blank as. Notice it does not use que. Que means than, and como means as. So make sure you know the difference. The only one that uses como is tan or tanto. So starting with tan here. Tus hermanas, your sisters, son tan serias como la maestra. So your sisters are as serious as the teacher. Tan serias como. Notice serias, in this case, is feminine plural, because it agreed back over here with tus hermanas, your sisters. So tus hermanas son tan serias como la maestra, as serious as. Now, all of these, más blank que, menos blank que, tan blank como, they had adjectives in the middle. Artistic, fun, serious, tall. You also can use these without anything in the middle. For example, you can say, I like to go to the library more than the gym. I like going to the library more than the gym. It's not saying more artistic than, more tall than, it's just more than. So you don't need anything in between, just más que. Same thing with menos que, less than. Those are the same. Me gustan las hamburguesas menos que los tacos. I like hamburgers less than tacos. There's not an adjective in the middle. That's okay. It's just más que and menos que. Not a big deal. And then finally down here at the end we have tanto como, which means as much as. This is the one that's weird. Notice when you have an adjective in the middle, you have tan blank como. But when there's no adjective in the middle, we have tanto como. So for example, ¿te gusta hablar tanto como escuchar? Do you like to talk as much as you like to listen? Tanto como. So if it has an adjective in the middle, it's tan blank como, and if there's no adjective, it's tanto como. You can think of the to, the to, as meaning much, if it helps you. As blank as versus as much as. And then finally, we have some irregular comparisons. Mayor, remember the mayor's some old dude. We could say, yo soy mayor que ti, older than you. Menor, younger. Mejor, better. And peor, worse. All of these will agree, in this case, by being either singular or plural. So you can make these plural by adding an es. If you look here, mis tíos son mayores que mi tía. Instead of just mayor, we said mayores because we're talking about multiple uncles, tíos. So mis tíos son mayores que mi tía. I know these are a little challenging, so let's take a look here. First, I just want you to choose between either que or como as you're looking at these. So number one, Marisol es tan simpática blank su madrastra. Marisol is as nice blank her stepmother. So are we saying she's as nice like her stepmother or as nice as? Obviously we're saying as nice as. So in this case, we're using como for as. Remember, que means than. So Marisol es tan simpática como. Remember that tan and tanto are also the only ones that use como. So look here again, number two. Ana es menor blank Rodrigo. Ana is younger than Rodrigo, or Ana is younger like Rodrigo. It makes more sense here to say Ana is younger than, so we should use que for this one. Go ahead, pause your audio, and please give numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6 a quick try for me, please. Okay, let's take a look. Number 3 says that Marisol corre tanto blank sus padres. Marisol runs as much blank her parents. Well, as much than or as much like? Good, it should be as much like, tanto como. And in this case, remember, tan and tanto are the only ones that use como. All the others use que. Number 4, Rodrigo tiene menos hermanos blank Jose. So Rodrigo has less siblings blank Jose. We're saying less siblings than Jose. It should be que. El tío Pablo toca la guitarra mejor blank la tía Camila. Uncle Pablo plays the guitar better blank Aunt Camila, better than, mejor que. And Esther es mayor blank Tito. Esther is older blank Tito, older than. Again, it should be que. Okay, one last activity, because some of these are hard. I'm going to show you some pictures. And you're making a comparison. So for example, look at these two folks. It gives us Nicolas and Sara. These are listed in the order they're shown in the picture. So Nicolas is on the left, Sara is on the right. And the adjective it gives us in this case is grande. We're saying that Nicolas is either more big, less big, or as big as Sara. In this case, it appears that he's bigger, as you can tell. So Nicolas is more big than, remember because there's no so more big than, más grande que Sara. Let's do another one. Number 1 tells us that Nora and Patricia are the two people we're talking about, with Nora being on the left, Patricia on the right. Our adjective here is alto, tall. So we're trying to say that Nora is either more tall than, less tall than, or as tall as. From the picture, it appears they're about the same height here. So we should say that Nora es as tall as. So we're using tan alta como. Notice we had to use alta here because this adjective agreed with Nora, the first person in our sentence. Nora es tan alta como Patricia. Let's do another one. Number 2 tells us we're talking about Marcos and Jose. and it gives us the adjective serio. So in this case, Marcos is on the left, Jose is on the right. Between the two of them, Marcos appears to be the more serious one. He's reading the paper. Jose is just hanging out there talking on his phone. So it looks like we're saying Marcos is more serious than Jose. We should say that Marcos es más serio que Jose. We're using serio, which is masculine singular, in order to agree with Marcos, one male. And number 3, we have Ana, perezoso, and Ali. So Ana's on the left, Ali on the right. We want to say in this case that Ana appears to be more lazy than Ali. Look at Ali over there cooking, doing all the work, and Ana sitting there chilling. So we're saying Ana is more lazy than Ali. We should say Ana es más perezosa que Ali, more lazy than. I want you to take a moment and please give numbers 4, 5, and 6 a quick try for me. You can go ahead and pause your audio, and whenever you're ready, you can unpause. Okay, let's take a look at these. So number 4, we have Pablo and Pedro. We have Pablo over on the left, Pablo on the left, Pedro on the right, and our adjective here is desorganizado. So we're trying to say that Pablo is either more, less, or as disorganized as Pedro. I've had people do this both ways. I guess probably nitpicked it. They both look disorganized, but Pablo has more stuff sitting out. So I said Pablo is more disorganized than Pedro. I said Pablo es más desorganizado que Pedro. But if you said as disorganized as, that would work too. You could just say Pablo es tan desorganizado como Pedro. That would work as well. And number 5, we have Maria and David. Maria's over on the left, David's on the right. And our adjective here is atletico. If you look at David, he's sweating over there. He doesn't look too happy. And Maria's having fun. So I would say that Maria is more athletic than David. So Maria es más atlética que David. Notice we used atlética because it has to agree with Maria, who is a female. Maria es más atlética que David. And on the right in number 6, we have a Elena, gustar, to like, correr, to run, and escuchar música. I think this is the hardest one. So we have Elena likes running or listening to music, and which one does she like more? Well, if you're looking at the picture, she is running and she has some headphones in. She's listening to music too. So we're trying to say here that Elena likes to run as much as listening to music. So in this case, we're using the tanto como because there's nothing in between. There's no adjective. There's no nice, funny, tall in between. We're just saying that she likes to run as much as she likes to listen to music. So your sentence should be, a Elena, don't forget your a Elena le gusta correr, she likes to run, tanto como, as much as, escuchar música. Guys, this fulfills our final learning objective to create sentences, making comparisons in Spanish. I hope these videos have been helpful to you. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Always just a short email or phone call away. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll talk soon. Thank you.